Right, good afternoon and welcome. Our last council meeting of 2024. Pleasure to have Councillor Humphreys here remotely with us, and thank you for resolving the technical issues for us to call a late start. We'll call the order at 4:08, and I'll move into land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I'd like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and our support for their rich history, and we're extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? None being heard. Moving on to confirmation of council agenda.
That council adopt the agenda for the December 17th, 2024 regular council meeting.
Moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Webster. Thank you. All in support? Thank you very much. We'll move on to minutes from previous meetings. On page 3 of our package, do I have a mover to adopt? Thank you. Councillor Webster, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you, gentlemen. Any business arising from previous minutes? None being heard, we'll move on to number 8, and we'll move into our committee reports for this evening. We'll start off with general government, and I'll pass over to Chair Webster, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Welcome, everybody. So 8.1.1 of the agenda, staff report, January meeting schedule, page 3. I'm going to send that over to the author. CAO Dillabo.
Thank you. So through you, Chair, just to look at our schedule coming up in January with the holidays that are coming up, as well as the Roma conference mid-January. We're just looking at the council schedule, and it just seems to work better if we push the meetings from January 7th and 21st to January 14th and 28th, if that works for all.
All right. Any comments, questions in regards to that? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
If I may, I certainly understand all of the reasons and the rationale for it. My only add to this consideration is that county meeting, the first county of 2025, will be occurring on the 15th. So should there be any items to be getting prepared or required or benefiting from being tabled at county, we will be very tight to move everything from the 14th to the 15th the next day. That was the only consideration I wanted to add to that. Other than that, I'm in support of moving. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
No, I'm in support.
In support?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Spencer, do you have anything to add? No, you're good with that? Thank you. We'll move on to 8.1.2, staff report, council leave of absence policy, page 7 of our package. And again, I will pass this over to our CAO.
Thank you. So I think everybody's had a chance to read my report. Just given certain circumstances that we've gone through in the last several months, I thought it was prudent to create a leave of absence policy, just to give us some guidelines, some dates and deadlines and things like that, so that staff and council can abide by if this does happen again. I don't know if anybody, I guess, if there are any questions about the specific policy. There's nothing that we haven't done already, but now we just formalized it into council legislation.
Very good. Any comments, questions in regards to that? Yes, Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. Again, just appreciate the policy being created. It shows transparency and, you know, gives us a path to follow should the need come up again. And again, nice to have in writing and adopted into our policy. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? All good? Very good. Okay, 8.1.3 of our package, staff report, Joint Police Services Board Renfrew OPP detachment budget, page 12 of our package. And, sorry, give me a second. I'll go back to the author, CAO Dillabo, please.
Thank you. So as discussed at the last council meeting, after we had Chair Tripp present as a delegation to discuss the Renfrew and area OPP Detachment Board's budget, I have provided a recommendation that will be reviewed later, just that we support the 2025 budget, that we do consent to an equal billing model for 2025, which reflects the 1/7 share, and further that we do recommend, council recommends a billing model review in 2025 on or shortly after the 6-month benchmark.
Great, thank you. Looking forward to that 6-month report. Any comments, questions in regards to that? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I think it's a fantastic journey that this has taken from being a surprise to multiple iterations. Appreciate the motion that it is. I think it's making the best of a situation that was brought down in a manner that I think all of us struggled with. And I think it has been fantastic to have our voices added at county and Roma, so that for future years in 2025, I'm equally optimistic for the 6-month mark, but also next year's budget, that we would not be facing a 1/7 for it, but I'm in full support of the updates that we've received today. Thank you for all of your work on it and staff's work on it.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Spencer, no, you're good? I totally agree with that. They've done a lot, and what I've heard talking to other municipalities and with discussions how far ahead our group is compared to others, that they haven't even elected a boards yet. So, which is surprising, but we're way ahead of the game, and I'd rather be that way than behind the 8 ball moving forward with this. Any other comments, questions, staff? Anything you want to add? Yep.
So I attended a meeting, lengthy meeting last week with the board. Again, echoing what you're saying, our coming back from our Zone 2 conference, the rest of our board was very surprised how far we were, and that some have not even created their board or have not met. And so we're thinking, are we too far? Are we jumping the gun? And certainly we're not. We're being told by the representatives that we're on the right path, and the learning curves are being, it is difficult to get started, but then the learning curves in the new year for the next audit or the 6-month breakdown should reflect, solid numbers and solid outlooks. So we even have renamed our board, and that'll be, so instead of the Renfrew OPP Detachment Board, we have now decided we're going to be the South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board. So that'll encompass the seven groups within. So you'll see that our website will be coming out in the new year. And again, we're looking forward to Roma. We're getting a chance to speak with the minister there, so we're trying to get our ducks in a row there to send a strong voice for 15 minutes of fame. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Now, it just raised a question for me, I guess, to our CAO. Will that, the name change reflect our resolution coming up later? Or should it, or can we move forward with this?
I personally think we're safe to move forward with it. I know it got passed at the meeting, but we haven't received like official notification from it until they pass the minutes of that meeting as well.
Okay.
It's not, it needs to be ratified.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to make sure we're on the up and up, not to do something that we may have to do twice. Okay, that's, if there's no other comments, questions, and I will pass that back to you, Deputy Mayor.
Great. Thank you very much, Chair Webster. We'll move on to section 8.2, and Chair Humphreys joining us remotely. I'll pass it over to you, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Proctor. We just, on page 14, we have a Transportation Environmental Service Committee. It was quite a lengthy one, and I'm just going to let Public Works Manager Knapp take over and do the thing, because there's the highlights are in your minutes, and just to break down, explain anything we explained, right from the driveway entrances to, private grants for the roadway and stuff. You can bring everybody up to date, it'd be great. So if there's any questions, I can help too, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Public Works Manager Adam Knapp, please.
Thank you, Chair Humphreys. So as was stated, this was a fairly lengthy meeting. That'll be the model I'll try to do moving forward, is to put a bulk of information in one meeting so that we minimize these meetings, maximize the potential of them moving forward. So within there, Tally presented, our treasurer presented the proposed budget, which we're looking at a pretty good decrease in funding as far as the transportation. We're at about 10% overall for the whole transportation budget. So there's some increases in environmental services, but that's directly related to our expansion. The extended private roads grant applications, there's 2 more that were added to the list, which was directed to be extended for the intake period. We've seen a decent amount of usage of it this year. We're hoping that increases with more public awareness and campaign, but when you change a policy and you try to get that word out, that's obviously going to take a little while to get that intake rate up. Within that recommendation, there's also a recommendation to establish a reserve with an upset funding limit and to allocate a certain amount of funds per year towards that fund, so it sets an upper and lower limit. Basically, the more it's used, the more we'll put in, but there is a high cap of $15,000 per year that we put in and an upper funding limit of $30,000 per year to be allocated into that fund. So it sets a pretty easy path for Natalie to follow as far as the treasury and accounting side of things. Within there is some informational things. I'll just kind of skip down to them to do a quick overview of our EV charge grant application status. We were denied the application in that, even though we were prompted by MTO to apply several times. We were rejected. I feel myself we met all the criterion and the merit. If I could say anything, we didn't have the rapid chargers, and we are in close vicinity to some of the other chargers available in the county, but this was also supposed to be approved in the midsummer, and we did not hear about it until late in the fall. So I think there was maybe some funding restrictions with the province and the funding that they're seeing that might have played a factor into that. We also don't see high success rate in this area. For every $6 requested, there's only $1 available for the Eastern District, so it's a matter of us requiring more funding in this area. The town of Renfrew had their second public consultation center. That is for their transportation master plan, which is independent of the county's joint transportation master plan, which we are participating in. That doesn't mean that they're not coordinating with the other entities. It just means they're performing their own. We are working jointly with Aegis, who is formerly McIntosh and Perry, and that should be coming forward in the new year to be completed. Our own transportation master plan had a rationalization assessment memorandum sent out. Within there's some establishment of what should be a county road, new criterion, how we flag them as county roads and what's supposed to be a municipal road. There's about 130 kilometers of county road that is flagged to be downgraded to the municipality. There was a public meeting between all the road supervisors not long ago, and it was stated that they're not anxious to proceed with that. It'll basically stay status quo, but there is the criterion there. More or less what they're looking to do is, if there's a road that we want to upload, they will be looking to trade one of these and download in exchange for like for like. I will jump back up to more of the meatier portions of these reports, and that goes into the draft entrance and drainage permit bylaw. Our former bylaw had no real catalysts for me to reject an entrance. Basically, anybody could put an entrance in anywhere. The new bylaw that I have drafted is based off of Transportation Association of Canada and MTO design limits, basically on line of sight, that if these line of sight criteria are not met, then you will have to get an engineering study done to show us that it does meet the criterion. If they're in between the set limits, then you have to install signage at your cost. If they're above the line of sight limits, then there's no issue. We're going to install the entrance permit. It also allows for permitting of alteration of our drainage. Most municipalities, including us, have struggled to keep up with all of the tile drain installed on farmland property. We're of no obligation to allow them to install tile drain into our ditch lines. Our ditch lines are to drain roads. If they want set drainage, they have to get our permission. They can also petition us to install municipal drains, and there's processes within OMAFRA that clearly specify how to follow through with that. There's a lot more detail. It's heavily redacted from the original. The original one was very simplistic. This one is a little more detailed, but it is based on design standards that are acceptable throughout Canada and the province of Ontario. For that reason, it'll be circulated through to council, and we will bring it back in January to see if there's any comments or questions. There's also provisional offenses that are in there that will have to go to the province to establish them. That will be to mitigate people damaging our infrastructure through snow removal, pushing snow across the road, piling at intersections, creating safety and design concerns that we can act on that through bylaw. Is there any questions at this point? No? Continue. So we had Kevin Mooter from JP2G in to do a presentation. He highlighted the negative effects of overusing our landfill and how much life expectancy is there now and what we're expected to see moving forward into our expansion. That was a catalyst to bring forward an old report to repeal the landfill free pass program that we have. The program sees about $15,000 of free waste tipped every year. It's going off of our numbers. We track how many free landfill passes are used. I did a basic calculation off that of our rates versus how many are there and how many we're giving out, and that's about $15,000 per year that we're allowing for residents to come in and utilize for free. We have to make sure that we're funding our landfill properly for these next expansions. The next expansion is going to be quite difficult to attain. And quite frankly, it's probably not going to happen. We're going to have to start looking at outsourcing, so we need to minimize that intake. Within those reports, it highlights from 1994 to 2022, we exceeded our optimal intake rate of 2,000 cubic meters per year, 68% of the time. That is not good for the extended life cycle of ours. We have to make sure that we're diverting. We have to make sure that people are using these things properly. I know our attendants do the best to make sure that they're adhering to the 2 cubic meter per pass intake, but that is very hard for him to mitigate because people tend to push and want, say, I got a pickup truck, why can't I use that? So this is another reason that we're looking at trying to mitigate that intake. And in there's recommendations to take it maybe further in 25, 26, and 27, and look at doing a clear bag program where we can actually put OOPS stickers similar to our recycling, where if they have recyclables or divertible materials in it, our contractors flag it, say, no, we're not taking this. This is recyclable material. Bring it back again next time when that has been removed. And that's it for now. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you, Adam, for that detailed report. It was a lengthy meeting, but a very productive meeting, and we covered a lot of ground. So, and any questions for Public Works Manager Knapp or myself? We've sort of covered everything in that meeting, and I think it's been a good report put forward by Adam Knapp. So it's great. Thank you for doing all that extra work.
If I may, Councillor Humphreys or Chair Humphreys, a question?
Yes.
Yeah. A few questions on the item. So relative to the private roads grant, it appears that a very little amount was used, about $1,900 of the $15,000. Was there any conversation or any thought put towards how to encourage greater adoption? I did notice that some people's applications were for significantly higher, but only received amount. Were there thoughts given on how to enable our private roads to use more of the grant funding that is available?
I think under all the circumstances, it was based on that formula, like the amount of taxpayers times the length of the road, and it's been utilized. It's a learning step for us too, and it's a good help. And again, by having the open house, we picked up another 2 more associations. That brings it up to 6. And I think with word of mouth, it'll expand more as the people get educated. But it's a little hard to finance a whole road. I noticed I guess it was McCurry's Lane was applied for quite a bit of money, but again, they got a $400 grant and they spent a lot of money. But once this program gets going, then they'll know, and their association fees for each road will have to change. Like our own situation, we got $380 because there's 10 cottages and it's 0.9 kilometers off the road. So I think as it comes with more education, and just like we talked about the landfill, as we have to do more to educate, and I think the public meeting helped for sure. So and maybe next year we'll have 12 committees figured out or different stuff for that time that was put on pretty quick. So again, I was really glad to see 2 extras come in after the open house. So I was very pleased with that. So that was like another 50%. So if that answers your question, Deputy Mayor Proctor, that's what we're working on. So.
It is indeed a process for sure, and to your point, the open house being so helpful and the education sessions, maybe that's something that we'll just keep in our back pocket, that for spring of next year, or even end of winter, nearing end of winter, that we look at some education sessions, or even drop-in sessions to walk the association representatives through the process, so that they set their expectations appropriately of what could be refunded, what could be reimbursable, and how best to take advantage of the grant money. Thank you.
At one time, I hoped that we could get an engineering student to do some work on these roads, just to give people an idea, because when somebody walks down a different road, you see a lot of different things to be done. So another set of eyes, and I think if you get a group together that has a different background, I know we have, say, our own situations, 10 cottages, 10 different backgrounds, so everybody has a different way of looking at roads and trimming for the fire department, and asphalt patches and grading, and so I think it'll come with time. So I feel quite confident it'll be better next year. Maybe we can get more involved, and I say more open houses or more literature figuring what's going to happen, and word of mouth is a good way of doing it. So again, thank you, Adam, and thank you for your questions, Deputy Mayor Proctor.
I do have a supplemental to that, but before I do that, I'm not sure if you can see that. I believe, Adam, you wanted to add in there.
Yes, just a comment that no funding requests were modified. That's just what they spent on that, and that's just as a performance indicator, so we can track how much we are contributing on average. And on average, we were contributing overall for all the applications about 20%. Some of them spent a significant amount of money, like Alex Lane spent over $10,000, but that benefit will move forward for the next 5-10 years on that road. They can still apply on that funding. So over those 5-10 years that road's in good conditions, we're still going to give them a little bit of monetary value back every year. So it's not that they aren't being compensated fully. They're just going to say, okay, this is what we funded this year. This is how we gave you 7.9% back. And I think the word of mouth is traveling. Neighbors are communicating with each other. And in the case of McCreary Lane, they phoned on the last day to apply for that application. It took them less than an hour to complete it and submit. So it's not that detailed, but definitely I will help walk people through. And if they want me to go out and look at their road and see what I want to see fixed, I'm more than welcome to do that.
Well, that's a lovely offer. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. If I may, as a supplemental, Chair Humphreys, I know this came to our table a year ago about the free voucher, so I'm disappointed, but I'm certainly understanding why the free voucher is being looked at to be removed, given the landfill rate of filling that it's happening. Just a question that I noticed in the report, again, it highlights so much of the food waste that is also going into our land site. We had talked about the food cycler program. Could you give us an update on that program of timings for it?
If I
Want to go ahead
may,
and do that, Adam? Thank you.
yeah, if I may, I believe that's contingent on passing of the 2025 budget.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam.
Actually, through the chair, if I could. Through the chair, if I could, if we're looking at removing the recycle or the free tag for the residents, how does that compare now? I understand it's a monetary, as you know, we're looking at it, $15,000 price tag of savings. From the last time we stepped it from 2, and you may not be able to answer this today, but maybe at another meeting. So we used to have 2 free landfill passes, and then we set it back to 1. Was there any difference in the amount of waste still accruing at the landfill site due to that tag not being there? And I guess what I'm looking at is we have a contract for 4 regrinds a year. And is there a deduct in one or the other, or is there a comparison that we can do there? That if we took, you know, if you give something free for a free landfill pass program, everybody's going to come in and you know, contribute more. But if that was taken away, did we see a less impact on deliverables? And how did that work? Do we still need 4 regrinds in the same year?
I guess the way I look at it, Council Campbell, you know yourself, like people with COVID and stuff, like our dump got really dumped on, put it that way. Everybody was renovating, staying at home, and we've seen so much in volume all through that time. So it was coming in regardless if you had vouchers and stuff, but I always figured, well, a free voucher, you know, maybe a cottage was doing some work and he's only there seasonally, and we cut it back to 1, and that's when we changed. My feeling was, I agree with Public Works Manager Knapp, that we have too much, we've got to get more people to recycle. We got to get more people diverting fabric and food and food scraps. There's a lot of things we can do to educate, and the passes there, it's still going to come to the dump, whether they have a free pass or they pay for it. And we haven't seen too much dumping yet on the back roads yet. So again, it's education again. So I cannot add too much more to what your comment was. Just it's going with the times, because I don't think there's any free passes in many other dumps around this area. So maybe you know more about that, Mr. Knapp. So.
Yeah, if I may, so we're not looking at getting rid of the 2 free bag tags per year, so that plan is still going to stay in place. If we do move forward with removing the free landfill passes and implement the food cycler, my recommendation, which is built into there, is to perform another waste composition study in 2026, 2027, and that will tell us if our diversion programs have increased since the waste composition study that was previously done. That will be done internally. We use JP2G consultants for the first one to set the template. I will use the same models, the same weighing. So it's a like-for-like comparison to see if these are working for us. As far as landfill grinding, I'm definitely interested in reducing the amount we grind into 2 mobilizations. Unfortunately, right now with the space we have, it's just a matter of logistics. We do not have the space to go 6 months plus with a regrind and still keep that place functioning. If we go much more than 3 or 4 months, we are running out of space. So it's just a matter of logistics. If we move forward with our landfill expansion, our contract for regrinding will be modified or retendered to go for 2 grindings per year, which will work logistically with our neighbors, so we save on that mobilization cost. So when the contractor comes in, they're doing us and all of our neighbors at the same time.
Thank you. Councillor Webster.
Through you, Chair, thank you. Just to add on to our Public Works managers, during our test meeting, we did discuss this waste audit being done, and we are planning, we talked about having educational at the rec center about it and showing people how much is through the audit. This is the amount that is going into the garbage rather than being recycled. So we plan to bring that forward, but it's just, it's in discussion stage, still in test, but it will be coming forward. But that is our, just to let the rest of council know that we are planning to bring it to the public for educational purposes, and then hopefully that'll reduce our total tonnage going into the landfill and extend the life of it, which we desperately need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. There's no other questions. I'll turn it back over to Chair Proctor.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Chair Humphreys. Moving on to, well, I will stay with you, Chair Humphreys. We'll move over to section 8.3 for Recreation Committee.
Yeah, on page 30 of your package, unfortunately, you'll be stuck with me and my bad voice now, but it's pretty well straightforward. Rachel came, we had a really good meeting. We went through the update from the Remembrance Day, and we talked about the budget when Tally came in to talk to us about our budget of recreation, and meeting with different partners. That was the economic development part that you went to Calabogie for. The thing was that was a lot of discussion about this $500 deposit for different events, and people are sort of taken aback when they come to put on a little bridal shower for somebody, and they requested the $500 deposit for damage as well. I think we feel that we can do something about that. It'll come back to discussion before council, but you know yourself, over the years, we've only had really one issue of damages from a tournament, and otherwise we've been pretty lucky with damages. And I guess as long as they, sign the waiver, and I felt the same way as my committee did, that it scares people off sometimes from running our place, because you have your hand out for $500 deposit on every event. And it's hard for anybody who's just having a celebration of life, or a bridal shower, or, a senior's dinner or something. So we will be more discussing on that in the meetings to come before council with a recommendation. And I know we had a good discussion on that in our rec meeting. So again, they're active with the super and sandwiches. We didn't do very well in our grants, as we always seem to be unlucky at that. Some groups coming in to do some music in the future. Unfortunately, with the seniors grant, we did not qualify, because we do support senior home support in Renfrew. So we sort of missed out on a small grant there. There was money left over. We will keep applying for all this stuff. Rachel's got a good handle on all the stuff. We had 30 tables for the craft sale, and I heard it was very successful. That's about all I have, Chair Proctor. So, any other questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor Proctor.
Thank you for this. And indeed, the craft fair was fantastic. Shout out to the organizing committee and to Rachel, her highlighting and what's the word I'm looking for? How she was giving a specific call out of each vendor that was attending was remarked on by a number of the vendors at the craft sale, saying thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. You promoted us and really brought in a lot of interest. So well done. It was great. It was nicely attended with lots of new vendors and lots of great
Yeah, half and half. There's 15 new vendors and 15 previous vendors. And I saw it on, I talked to her, and the next thing she was on Facebook talking to different people, very open, and, let's say promoting everybody that came. And again, the kitchen had some lunches and snacks available. And I know we're very lucky to have a good kitchen crew down there that'll tackle things. But again, 50% new people coming to Orton, which is nice. I think there was 30 tables, and I think it was 15 and 15. So
Thank you. My only question to this, or maybe a encouragement, is the $500 deposit is challenging, or as you said, maybe having a bit of a chilling effect on people renting. Maybe in your investigation, you may already be doing this, of see what our neighboring townships are charging, because certainly a deposit as opposed to a chase back would be a preferred method, if at all possible, but thank you.
But I mean, the thing is that a lot of people don't have checks. A lot of seniors don't like to give out their credit card numbers, and some of them only have debit cards, and there's a bit of confusion around it for sure. But I agree, we'll check with the neighboring areas, what they're doing, like from Dhaka to Douglas to McNabb Braeside. So it'll be on the agenda in January for sure. So I'll make a note of that right now, so myself. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other?
Appreciate that. Why don't we move on to section 8.4, committee report from Protective Services. On page 32 of our package, a number of items were discussed. We focused primarily on protective services relative to our fire and volunteer protective services, and happy to say that we have had 3 new recruits and new volunteers sign up and be brought forward. I believe that will be part of a resolution going forward, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, the protective services continue to be called to motor vehicle accidents. I think all of us recently are certainly seeing some of that on this highway as well. So very thankful that we are recruiting new volunteers, and they seemingly, they're in great hands with our fire chief and deputy fire chief. We did review our budget. You can see in the report certainly some of the numbers that we are looking at being near or if at 1%, if not slightly less than 1% increase. But I'll draw attention to the council that I think it warrants a strong conversation that our tanker is in need of replacement. There are a few items that we are coming up to that we can certainly have further insight, but the summary or the net is that in 2 years' time, we are facing the need to have a brand-new tanker for nearing anywhere between $350,000 and $500,000. The approach that is going to be taken for that was a topic of good conversation. In short, Chief Cole and Deputy Chief Fortin are going to be coming back to us after doing some research on a best path. We're leaning into other municipalities and some other sources to see what the best path for us as a municipality would be to gain a new tanker and hopefully get just as much out of life of it that we've had in our current one being a 1992. But I think we can all respect and relate that for our personal taxes and insurance for our homes, we need a tanker. We need that tanker to continue to provide our fire services at any time. Those were the highlights. Would there be any questions or aspects for discussion?
Just want to draw attention as well to the annual Fall Classic fundraiser that the Renfrew Golf Club hosted for our firefighters, or our firefighters hosted at the Renfrew Golf Course, and threw an amazing number up there of $7,000, and you can see the charities that include Hospice of Renfrew, Renfrew Area Food Bank, McKay Manor, and Bernadette McCann House, and I guess there's two bergeries. They also for St. Joseph's High School and Renfrew Collegiate Institute. So, I mean, that's quite a. They look forward to it every year, and I mean, it's gathering momentum, and $7,000, that's huge. And yes, they have some big money projects with the tanker and or the SCBAs, 20 of those, and they come with a significant price tag as well. I think they're around $3,600 each. So you're not long spending a couple $100,000 or close to it to keep our firefighters outfitted. But again, we have a deadline of 2029, but as we know, time stands still for no one, and so we're going to see some arm twisting come budget time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. If there's no other questions, we'll continue on to Section 9 for a correspondence summary and our information correspondence. It was, page 38 of our package. Any questions or remarks from any council members? Sorry, Councillor Webster.
Yeah, I just want to congratulate again Warden Iman got reelected at County Council, so congratulations to him for another term.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for that. Any other areas of information correspondence for discussion? No. None being heard, we will continue on to Section 10 with bylaws. None on agenda today. We'll have notice to file motion for next council meeting. Number 12, any council or staff member concerns? None being heard, we'll move on to resolutions, and I'll pass it over to CAO Dillabo.
Thank you. That council, upon staff recommendation, amend the January 2025 regular council meetings to January 14th and January 28th, 2025.
Moved by Counselor Webster, seconded by Counselor Campbell. All in favor, thank you. Passed. Thank you, Counselor Humphries.
That council accept corporate policy Council-04 leave of absence policy, and further that it be brought forward by bylaw to be adopted into the Township of Horton's corporate policies in January.
Moved by Counselor Humphries, seconded by Counselor Webster. All in favor? Thank you.
That council support the Renfrew Area OPP Detachment Board's 2025 budget in the amount of $114,644, and that council consent to an equal billing model for 2025, which reflects a 1/7 share between participating municipalities, resulting in $16,377.71 to be paid by each municipality. And further, that council recommends a billing model review in 2025 on or shortly after the board's 6-month review of their annual budget to ensure fairness amongst cost allocations.
Nobody's looking to move this very fast, but I do believe we need to. Any movers? Thank you, Counselor Campbell, seconded by Counselor Webster. All in favor? Passed. Thank you.
That council received the following reports as information: Test Chairs Report, December 3rd, 2024, Recreation Chairs Report, December 5th, 2024, and Protective Services Chairs Report, November 28th, 2024.
Moved by? Thank you, Counselor Humphries, seconded by Counselor Campbell. All in support? Thank you.
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, council approve the additional 2024 private road grant program applications for reimbursement as per policy TO1 private road grant.
Do I have a mover? Thank you, Counselor Webster, seconded by Counselor Humphries. All in favor?
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, council review the updated draft entrance and drainage policy as circulated, and further that it be brought forward by bylaw in January for consideration to be adopted.
Moved by Counselor Campbell, seconded by Counselor Humphries. All in favor? Thank you.
That upon recommendation from the Test Committee, due to current life expectancy of the landfill site, council eliminate the free landfill voucher for residents effective December 31st, 2025. And further, that staff and council provide information and education in 2025 to residents by notices and open houses.
Moved by, thank you, Counselor Webster, seconded by Counselor Humphries. All in favor? Oh, my apologies. Oh, would you like a recorded vote? No. Okay, my apologies. All in favor and then all opposed? Thank you very much, Counselor Campbell.
That upon recommendation from the Protective Services Committee, council add Alex Kamanico, Caitlin Curley, and Tyson Harris to the fire department roster.
Do I have a mover? Thank you, Counselor Campbell. Seconder? Thank you, Counselor Humphries. All in favor? Thank you very much, and proud to welcome 3 new volunteers onto our services.
That council received the CAO clerk's information memo for December 17th, 2024.
Do I have a mover? Thank you, Counselor Webster, seconded by Counselor Humphries. All in favor? Thank you.
That council enact bylaw 2024-43 confirming bylaw.
Do I have a mover? Counselor Campbell, seconded by Counselor Webster. You've thrown me off, gentlemen. All in favor? There we are. Thank you. And with that, I do believe we are nearing adjournment. I will take the opportunity, though, to say thank you to my fellow council members for an interesting year, and our public advisory members and our staff, and wish everyone all the best for the Christmas holidays, and look forward to coming back in the new year. Thank you all. We'll be adjourned at 4:51. Cheers.